I gotta ask you, in years past, astrology was always something that you found at the back of a magazine. It was a little 4 or 5 sentences. This is what your day or your week or your month is gonna look like. What's changed?
Well, so the appetite from our audience for astrology content is huge. Our traffic to astrology content online has increased 128% year over year. 74% of my readers have told me that they are, quote, obsessed with astrology.
74%.
74%, and 72% check their horoscope every day. So when I took over the magazine, I knew that the single page of monthly horoscopes that traditional women's magazines have done for millennia just wouldn't cut it anymore. And so what I did is I introduced a 9-page section every month to our magazine that's dedicated entirely to astrology. That's 10% of our magazine. We're just seeing a ton of success and interest here.
Was the interest in astrology always there? Or is it just now in 2019 that there are just a lot of millennials, including your readers, 74%?
One of the beauties of Cosmo is that we reach so many people of varying ages and demographics. We reach 81 million readers every month, most of whom are millennials, but there are a lot of millennials moms and millennials aunts and sisters and friends. And they have always been interested in astrology. It's just that for the younger generations, they feel more value in it. They perceive more value in astrology, and there are a couple of reasons. The first is that millennials self-report more stress and less certainty about their future than any generation before them. They're also less religious than any generation before them. So they are looking for guidance and they are looking for structure. I think one of the misconceptions about millennials and astrology is that they're using it mostly as a predictive tool, which they certainly are. That's part of the value. It's part of the fun and the social cachet when we can all sort of collectively moan about Mercury going retrograde. But the real value is insight into ourselves, how we work, why we work, how other people around us work. And so we're looking for a shorthand that helps us understand the world around us quickly. And if I know that you're a Sagittarius, I know before we even sit down together that you're fun-loving and adventurous and that you like to read, and I know what I can ask you about. What's on your nightstand right now, you know?
You got it even before I, like, it was gonna be my last question.
Yes, I told you.
What? Well, I'm probably blushing right now because
You are.
also, yeah, that's me.
Right?
I'd like to
You're
think.
adventurous, you're fun-loving.
I'd like to think that I am. Wow.
Yes.
So did this knowledge, this skill that you had, this talent, did that come from your readers saying to you that, look, we want more of this stuff? Or you clearly, I think, predated what millennials are into?
I mean, I'm an intuitive person, and I have a good gut instinct. I think you have to in order to be an editor of a media brand like this one in this day and age. I was not an astrology expert. I have learned from my audience, and their interest has led us to report things that we didn't know before. And so my entire team, we've all become astrology experts, even though we didn't necessarily intend to.
What has your research shown as far as how people are using astrology? I mean, you pointed a little bit to the fact that there's a lot more stress, times are uncertain right now for a lot of people in this country and around the world, and they're looking for something. They're looking for something that gives them some insight into who they are. What have you seen or what have you learned as to what people may be gaining from astrology?
I think they get a peace of mind. The kind of peace that previous generations might have gotten from going to church, I think a young woman now can get from reading a very in-depth horoscope that helps her sort of situate herself. You know, empowered young women face a world that might not be ready for them to be as empowered as they are. And so it's helpful to understand the landscape that you're walking into. And I think that's a great sense of peace for this generation, which is, as you say, very stressed.
The misconceptions or the preconceived notions that people may have about astrology.
I think they think it's sort of like a crystal ball, sort of like a psychic tool, which isn't really the way it works. One of our astrologers in our recent issue compared astrology to a clock. A clock is not the reason that it's 9 p.m., but it helps you see and understand that it's 9 p.m. And that's what astrology is. That's how astrology works. It simply explains when the planets are in this position and have been in this position in the past, this is what's happened consistently as a result. So what might happen is this.
You know, and when I was in that meeting, your editorial meeting, one of the things I realized is, I don't know if it's the way it was marketed or the way that, because it was in the back of a checkout counter magazine, that we saw basically people's sun signs. And that gave us a little bit of insight into perhaps who they are and their personality, but that it's just a lot more complicated than that. And maybe that's why people don't see it as an actual science.
Yes, right. They think, well, the monthly horoscope, it's not totally accurate to me. It's because you're so much more than your sun sign. Sagittarius doesn't explain the whole universe that makes up who you are as a person. So one of our astrologers, Elisa Kelly, has an amazing way of explaining your sun, moon, and rising signs and why they matter. Those are the three most important signs. And the deal is your rising sign is the path that you're on in life. It's the road that you follow. I'm a rising Sagittarius, which makes me adventurous and innovative, and I need to move forward and explore. Your sun sign, you're a Sagittarius. I'm a sun Virgo. That's the car that you're in on that road. It's the structure within which you move forward. I'm a Virgo, so I'm obsessive about detail. I'm a perfectionist. And your moon sign, that reflects your inner life. And so your moon sign is what's driving the car. I'm a moon Libra, which means I really care that everyone around me is happy and healthy and taken care of. I want everybody in the car to be cool with where we're going and why we're going there. So that's really the full picture in astrological terms of who you are.
That's really cool. A lot of people will say, I'm born on the cusp. I'm on the last day or the first day of a sign, and that matters. And where would that come from if it's not a thing? You're saying it's not a thing?
I know. The astrological thinking now is that cusps aren't really real. There is a certain day on which everything shifts into a new mode. So that's what our astrologers tell us, and they're the experts.
What if I was born on a leap year and December 21st is not Sagittarius, December 21st is Capricorn?
Now you've got me. I don't know.
I mean, what you're doing at Cosmopolitan does dovetail with the magazine's history and the content that you've always provided your readers.
Yes. We've done bookazines, we've done books on astrology, so this is certainly not far afield for us. It's right in our wheelhouse, and the interesting thing at this time is that, again, young women really care about it, and my magazine will always follow what young women really care about.
It doesn't seem as if men are as interested in it. I must be an aberration, maybe because I'm a Sag.
I'm a rising Sag, so
All right.
I identify with you. We do see that men are less interested in astrology because they're less inclined to believe that it's, quote, real. Or perhaps the issue is that they're more fixated on whether it is real. I don't think that women necessarily think it has to be scientifically proven in order to be a viable tool to help them make decisions or to help them understand themselves more deeply, which is such an important thing for millennials, is that the path to success for them comes through understanding themselves. And so more and more men are coming along. I think especially as my reader is asking her Tinder date what his birth chart is so she can go see if they're compatible, I think more younger generations of men will get more into astrology.
Are you seeing a demand for more than you even can put into the magazine?
Oh, of course. There is basically more interest in this content than we even have time to produce it, but we're putting it everywhere, and everywhere we put it, it works.
Do you think that people use astrology to make really big life decisions?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's a helpful tool. And I also think when you're a woman in this world, you want a lot of perspectives, and you want to consult a lot of viewpoints and make an educated, informed decision based on all the information that you're collecting. So to me, it's sort of an additional data set.
Do you find that people, let me ask you this, do you find that that the interest for your readers cuts across demographics, it cuts across
Absolutely.
ethnicity?
Yes.
Everybody's into it.
Everybody's into it. And it really is, it's a communication tool. When you say Mercury's in retrograde, you hear a collective groan, everybody gets it, right? It's a way to bond with people. And it's just fun.
Yeah, That's incredible. Jessica, this is so much fun. This is so
Thank you.
interesting.
Thanks.
Wow.